Hey there, guys. What's going on? Sloppy here. Welcome back to another Free-to-Play Friday episode. Oof, that was a tough one. Today, I want to talk about Path of Exile. It's a game that I've played in the past, but just got a huge update. Version 3.0 just dropped, and this game is really cool. I don't know what to tell you. It's a Diablo 2 style kill and loot RPG, an ARPG, a dungeon crawler. You can call it whatever you want to call it. It's this big RPG where you kill stuff and loot them and defeat bosses, get quests, that sort of thing. My first impressions are a little skewed because I have played this game quite a bit in the past, but it's sort of a first impressions for this new version I haven't played in a few years. This game's been out quite a while. It was a beta for a long time, and now it's fully out as version 3.0. It's been fully out for a couple years, but version 3.0, I don't know. I thought this was a great game for Free-to-Play Friday because it just had a big update. It's completely free-to-play, and it's really good. It's really good. That's what I'll say. First impressions, it runs very well now. For a while, it was iffy whether the performance would be good, but it runs really well now. It looks a little dated. I mean, it looks okay, but it's actually not as nice as, you know, something like Diablo 3. But honestly, in a game like this, I think it looks more than good enough. Even if it is a little dated, you know, it looks fine. It's very nostalgic. I played a lot of Diablo 2 as a kid. It was sort of that and RuneScape are the two games that I kind of flash back to as putting a lot of time into. So this is like really nostalgic to play this type of game, and so that's kind of cool, I guess. There's a lot of systems to learn. That's one thing, first impression. There is a lot to learn about this game. It's really deep, and it kind of ends up just being really daunting. The skill tree is like a crazy work of art. It's absolutely insane, the skill tree. I'll try and remember to put it up on screen. If not, you'll see it at some point. It looks like a night sky. There is stuff everywhere, and it can be very just... Looking at it, you just think, there's no way I'll ever know what's going on. But they make that sort of a little bit easier of a transition. Anyway, let's jump into pros and cons. In the pros, it is quite easy to jump in and feel really powerful. You know, within the first sort of hour of playing the game, I got a spell that I could kill things in just bunches, you know? There'd be a group of 20 people around me, and I would just be dropping them like flies. And it felt really good, you know? It feels really cool to just be, I don't want to say overpowerful, because if I went to the next area, I would die. But, you know, it feels really good, and it feels really awesome to get these spells. And they look really good, you know? But there's lots of killing in bunches. That's really a cool feeling. There's a lot of loot falling. Your inventory is pretty small, so there's a lot of loot management, as there is in any one of these games where there's a lot of loot falling. But, you know, it's kind of fun to get all this loot and try and decide what you want to keep and whatnot. There's a ton of different weapons and armor and etc, etc. They've been adding content for years now. So there's a ton of stuff. So if you're into a lot of different weapons and armor, this game could last forever for you. The map is really easy to follow. It's very straightforward. It's very much like Diablo 2. You can press tab to have an overlay on your screen and sort of walk through it. There's a lot of options in the settings, which is kind of nice. So you can make the map more transparent, less transparent, whatever you want. But the map is really easy to follow. All the levels are very straightforward, especially at the start, and it makes the quests very straightforward. You know, go here, kill this. And you just kind of progress like that, which I think is great, especially at the start of a game. Once you get further on, it's a little bit more complicated. But, like, you know, it's a lot of dungeon crawling, that sort of stuff. And the map makes it quite a bit easier. The areas look very different, which is really nice. There's not a ton of repetition. You know, some areas will look similar to other ones and whatnot, but even at the start, going through the first sort of 10 or so levels, or whatever you want to call them, 10 different areas, there's a lot of variation between them. You know, one's very dark and gray, the next one's, you know, these hillside cliffs that are very bright. There's a lot of different areas, and they look good, which is really nice. And there's a lot of different mobs to kill. It felt like every area I was encountering new mobs, which, to be honest, a lot of them were very similar, but even just sort of a reskin of the old one was nice. You know, it kept it feeling fresh. It felt like every area was completely new, even though I wasn't, you know, they weren't even that big, and I wasn't doing that much to get to them. It was nice that they all looked different and had different mobs. The cash shop, another pro, not that they have a cash shop, it's free to play, so obviously it's a cash shop, but the cash shop is entirely cosmetic, which is amazing. You don't get an addition for buying stuff, which is fantastic. Take note, every game ever who had a cash shop. It's all cosmetic, and some of the stuff looks really cool. I tried to play a clip on the screen now. There's all kinds of different pets you can get. There's kangaroos and rabbits and cockroaches and dogs. There's all sorts of different armor that just goes on top of your normal armor. It's entirely cosmetic. There's a lot of amazing cosmetic stuff. You can change your footprints to like glow in the dark and stuff. The cash shop is really cool. There's also sort of a build your own base system, which if you just look up some people's, I think they're called hideouts, that's a whole, I mean, it's basically like The Sims, what you can do with your own little base if you want to pay for it. It's incredible. Another pro, this updates every 3 months, this game, which is really cool. Updates every 3 months. There's a big update every 6 months, sort of a minor one in the 3 months before those. So, you know, even if you're playing for a while, there's always new stuff to go do, and considering how long it's been since the game came out, there's just a ton of stuff to do, which leads me into sort of the next con. Well, the first con, that was kind of a pro that it updates frequently. Let's get into cons. As you can probably tell from everything I've said, this game's super in-depth. There's so much to it that it's really daunting to jump into. You know, even as someone who's played it before, jumping back in, you know, your first few levels, you're just like, this is craziness. This is all too much. But I think they do a decent job. It's very intuitive once you've played like an hour or two, to the point where you can sort of understand what you're doing. But it's still kind of a con that it's very, having so much content available right at the start makes it, sorry, I don't know, I was like hitting my hands together. Having so much content right at the start makes it very just like overwhelming when you first get in. I wish there was sort of a better system to ease you into the game, but it is what it is. Here's a picture of the skill tree. Again, the skill tree, it's something else. I mean, look at that thing. And basically the way you work through that kind of determines how you play. So there's a lot of different builds in the game, and a lot of people say it's so complex that just follow someone's build guide online. There's all kinds of people who have build guides for starters, for, you know, if you want to be someone who summons wolves and kills stuff, if you want to be someone who throws fireballs, you can follow these build guides online. I didn't follow one. My character might end up sucking, but the skill tree is very in-depth and kind of daunting, especially to new people. From what I understand, it takes even veterans sort of 3 or 4 characters before they get a grasp on how to actually build a character properly, which is kind of crazy. I mean, that can almost be a pro if you're really into the game. There's a lot of content to come back to. Another con is that everything has a level. Again, this might be a pro depending how you look at it. I got kind of annoyed just because, to me, I just wanted to get in and start killing stuff, and then it was like everything is a level, everything leveling up. All the weapons and the gems, and you mix them together, I find it got a bit confusing, personally. Again, that might just be a con until you're really good at the game, and then it's kind of cool. It's just that sort of amount of content that's available to you can get overwhelming. Another con, the game looks a bit dated. We talked about it earlier. I don't mind for this type of game, and I kind of almost like it for this kind of game because it allows me to play it on sort of lower end computers. You know, I can take it with me on my laptop if I want to, but it is a bit dated. I wouldn't mind seeing it look a little bit better, or at least have the option to look significantly better. That's a pretty big con, I guess, for some people. Another big con is it's very grindy. Some people really enjoy that grindy game, but obviously the higher up you get in this game, it gets very grindy, and it does feel like there's a lot of quests that are go there and kill that. I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more variation. There's a lot of lore that you can really get into, but for the casual person who just wants to jump in and kill stuff, it's a bit of a grind to really get to. I mean, it doesn't take long to get to a place where you feel really good and you're doing cool spells and stuff, but it's a grind to get sort of the next tier of stuff. It's always something, right? As a sort of final review of the game, we've been talking cons for a bit now. I think this is a fantastic free-to-play game, especially if you have that ARPG Diablo 2 itch. I've been looking for a game. I was really excited when Diablo 3 came out. I was like, I'm going to get back into this. And then Diablo 3, I just didn't like. And this really fills that Diablo 2 niche. It kind of feels like just an upgraded version of Diablo 2, which is really cool. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. So I think it's a really great free-to-play game that everyone should at least try if you're even at all interested. It's really cool. It does take a bit to get into, but it's just sort of is what it is. It's still in very active development. Every update every 3 months, major update every 6. There's a really good community in place. There's a lot of people playing it at the moment on Twitch and stuff because of the new update. And there's a really good community around it, which is really cool. There's a lot of documentation and people helping, build guides, all that sort of stuff. Runs really well on mediocre computers. You can take it with you on your laptop. This is something I can play like when I'm traveling, just sitting in a hotel room. And sort of my final thought on this is like a great game to play while watching a movie or something, you know, when you're just sort of watching a TV show or a training video for work, whatever it happens to be. This is that game that I can turn on, walk around, do some quests, kill some stuff, get some loot. It's not super intensive enough to, you have to focus on it, you know, a crazy amount, but it's not boring enough that you feel like you're not doing anything. So it's really cool. I'd recommend checking this one out for sure. It's a really fun game. And that's sort of this week's Free-to-Play Friday. Let me know what you guys think of Path of Exile, what you thought of this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you didn't enjoy it. If you have any games I should check out for next week's Free-to-Play Friday, leave them in the comments down below. And subscribe for more of whatever it is I do here. I will possibly be playing this on stream upcoming. If not, I'll just play it on my own because it's a lot of fun. Either way, I will catch you guys next time. Ciao!